We're good? All right, we are live here on YouTube. I want to thank everybody for tuning in and joining us at the Chamber's second virtual luncheon. And we have the pleasure of having Rob Campbell with us from the Clackamas SBDC. And we're gonna talk to him here in a moment. One moment, technical difficulty. We're playing audio. There we go. Okay. Going to start off just with a couple of announcements and some things that I think the community should be aware of. In the tradition of Chamber Luncheons, though, I want to take a moment and give thanks to our presidential level member, Direct Link, for their sponsorship and support as always. Want to give a shout out to my board of directors who have been honestly a godsend and a critical resource for me in making themselves available to bounce ideas off of, to problem solve, to encourage me, to get me through the 2 o'clock nap time when I'm feeling drowsy, to be like, no, get up and keep moving. So we'll start with our president, Terry Giesick from Gustafson Insurance and Frontier Golf Course. Our first vice president, Jim Davis from Canby Fire District. Our second vice president, Tyler Nizer from Clackamas County Fairgrounds and Events Center. Our secretary treasurer, Diane Harbeck from Better Home and Gardens Realtors. And the rest of the board members, we have Tina Schimpf from Hope Village, Joel Cutsforth from Cutsforth Market. We have George Martinez from U.S. Bank, Mallory Gwynn from Gwynn's Coffee House, who reopened today for takeout orders. And we're so happy to have them back in our downtown. That's what this is right here, is a cup of coffee from Gwynn's. So make sure to visit them today. Mace Peevler from Wilson Construction, and our past president, Carrie Olin from Promotional Strategies. So a big shout out to the board of directors. I want to thank them for all of their support. Couple of announcements. If you want to support the Chamber of Commerce during this time, it's really easy to support this broadcast by simply going to the Luncheon calendar event on the Chamber website and clicking register and just buying the normal $13 lunch ticket. Just support us in that small way if that's something that you can manage. If you believe in how we've been responding and the work that we've been doing in response to the pandemic, consider upgrading your membership to an investor or chairman or executive level membership. That's another way that you can make sure that the chamber is doing well and well funded, and that we are able to be here and provide these types of forums and resources for you. Couple of events coming up. Our next Good Morning Canby event is online via Zoom, and the host of that event is Marquee Hope Village. We brought them on to host this one because we thought it was really essential to talk to our senior care facilities in the region and to hear how they're adapting, how they're working, how they're managing to keep our precious folks safe. So critical update from senior care, and so that will be at 8 a.m. on March 14th. You can find the link to the Zoom meeting in our Facebook page or on our website. Our leadership training series has moved online. Our next session is How Your Business Success Relies on Your Manager Being a Leader. That will be Wednesday, May 20th at 7:30 a.m. via Zoom meeting. You can purchase a ticket to that session, again, via the Chamber website. A couple of announcements. The Canby Employment Expo 2020. That event was supposed to fly on April 23rd. Due to overwhelming support from the sponsors and the employers, they want to see this event fly. So we are working on finding a new date where the capacity to gather and to make a success of that event will happen. So keep posted. We'll have new information. And I know people are looking for staff, looking for workers, and so this might be one way later on in the year that you can find that talent. As of this week, our Swinging Good Time golf tournament has been canceled. Our summer kickoff golf tournament. that was supposed to go in June. So thank you for all the support. We held off this long in actually canceling the event again because people were so much in support of wanting to attend if it was at all possible. But simply due to the instability of the timeline on when we can gather and the group sizes, it's not feasible to make it a go. So that has been canceled. An announcement on looking forward to reopening in terms of PPE or personal protective equipment for non-medical usage. There's a couple of things that you need to know. The first is that we do have a local connection via our chamber member, Complete Threat Preparedness, and Stuart Kreger. They are putting together packages for business and industry. They have gowns, masks, all kinds of PPE that you can access through them. Stuart gave me an abundance of information on their sources, where they're getting it, and the packaging and whatnot. But I'll contact him directly for information on that. There is one deadline looming at 3 p.m. today to get an order in for this week. His phone number is 503-348-7325. Just to repeat that one more time, 503-348-7325. The second one is FEMA. They have a private industry PPE exchange website where you can kind of take a look and access that on your own. Feel free to reach out to me and I can send that resource to you individually. Next up. For those of you who have received Paycheck Protection Plan funding, we do have a resource. Let me see here. We do have a resource that was given to us by a large construction firm and how they are managing to track their forgivable expenses in terms of payroll expenses and non-payroll related expenses. This Excel spreadsheet has some best practices on the main page, has a summary that will summarize the pages that follow, a weekly breakout for the 8 weeks, so that you can track individual payroll expenses on the line throughout the 8 weeks, and then a qualified non-payroll expense worksheet on the back. And so this, they have made this available to us. The information here has been scrubbed. Basically, this is not the company's personal information. It is sample information. As you can see on the summary, these highlighted tabs indicate what information you include where and how to fill it out. So if you have received Paycheck Protection Plan funding and want a resource that might streamline your ability to track these forgivable expenses, just please reach out and I'll send the Excel spreadsheet to you. And I'm working on getting this up on the Chamber website as well. Okay. I was on a webinar with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and it was about consumer confidence and how they are looking at what will happen once we reopen, and what does consumer confidence need in order to be at its highest level. And one thing that I found interesting that I thought was easily shareable with members was they said there are 4 things that basically all businesses should implement. One was that you should always have sanitizer visible to customers. When they enter your workplace, your business, whether it's a counter, a restaurant, a service, it doesn't matter. Hand sanitizer should be visible to the consumer at all times. You should always have employees cleaning. That should be visible in order to make the customer feel safe and welcome in your space. There should be posted protocols and systems for keeping people safe as well. Informational, this is how we operate, this is how you, the customer, should operate, this is how we're keeping you safe. And then the 4th, which I need to investigate a little bit, is if possible, procure a certificate from local health authorities saying that you are following sanitation protocols. Restaurants and whatnot, put your latest inspection report up to show your good marks in terms of sanitation and whatnot. But in terms of boosting consumer confidence when people enter your space once we reopen, these are just 4 kind of really simple ways that you can telegraph to your customers and your people that that you're doing what you can. You know, in addition to the markers on the floor for 6 feet and social distancing and whatnot. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting thing. And then before we get over to Rob, I just wanted to kind of make a quick statement. And I prepared it so I didn't kind of lose my way as I tend to do. And so bear with me for a moment. To begin, I'd like to beg the indulgence of our viewers as I take a moment to say one thing, and I'll try to be brief. It is no secret that we've had a business open their doors in direct protest of the governor's order here within our community. And I'd like to make a statement, not in support or against that individual action, but I'd like to zoom out to the 10,000-foot view and talk a little bit about the broader Canby business community and give folks some food for thought. The stay-at-home order, no matter what your feelings about it, is here and in effect. Now, let me start by saying that there isn't a business in town who wouldn't want to see an end to the Stay Home, Save Lives order. What there is present in our community is a difference of opinion on how we get to the backside of this situation. Some believe that opening now is the path to go. Some believe that strict adherence to the order is the quickest way out. In a nutshell, what I'm saying is that we have to meet people where they are at. I've been in communication with a large portion of membership. Audrey has called, emailed, or reached out to every member in our organization to field questions, to check in, to make sure there isn't something that the chamber can do to assist them in these hard times. I have personally met with many businesses, either online or in person, in an attempt to do the same. In fact, I pick up the phone or meet with any business, whether they are a member or not these days, because the mission of the chamber is to support the entire business ecosystem in Canby. No one within our community wants to see this situation stretch out a single day longer than is necessary. But we must remain civil and united as a community in order to achieve our goals. We must support and nurture each other as an entire ecosystem. In wildlife biology, the extinction of a single organism can have broad ripple effects that work against the ecosystem's ability to thrive. The same is true here. We cannot fracture into camps. We can disagree about the desired methodology, the desired time frame, etc. But there isn't a single business owner that I've talked to that doesn't have the following priorities in their thoughts. 201, business owners express the following desired priorities. Get business back to work. Protect public health. Provide for the families that live and work in our community. This last week has seen a marked rise in incivility, and I'm here to say that it just doesn't serve. I, too, am a proponent of autonomy, the ability to decide for myself. The Chamber of Commerce is an ally in that fight as well. But we, the Chamber and the broader business community, must act as professional and united as we can so we can advocate as a single voice. We must be able to articulate our opinions and our rationales in responsible ways. We are an ecosystem, and we must find ways to support the broader ecosystem. I've always enjoyed my job here at the Chamber because I felt like I get the opportunity and the honor of representing Canby's best and brightest. I ask that we continue to hold on to our outstanding reputation of community support, of reasonable treatment of ourselves, our employees, and our residents, but especially each other. So that is my quick call out to the broader business community. I hope you take it to heart. I hope you take it as the message of support that it's meant to be. And we're going to call it at that, right? So we're going to switch over. We're going to switch gears. I appreciate that indulgence, watchers. And now I'm going to bring on Robert Campbell the director of the Clackamas SBDC. Rob, in 2001, this is from their website, in 2001, less than 2 years after participating in his first Veterans Mean Business class, the Small Business Development Center named Rob as its director. Rob's leadership, strong expertise in system design, strategic innovation, and market and business development has been a great benefit to the SBDC and their small and large business owners. But there was one more thing on the website that actually I thought was truly indicative of who Rob is and what Rob does. And this is about, a quote from the people who work with Rob. And it says, Rob Campbell is passionate about helping business owners create joy and wealth. Right? Is that fair enough?
That's our mission.
That's
yes,
your mission.
That is.
Yeah. So welcome, Rob. I appreciate you being here and making time for us.
Well, thank you, Kyle. It's great to be with you. I think you were on a call that I was participating in with the State Chamber of Commerce earlier,
right.
And so, and I applaud you on what you're trying to do here, and having this capability to have these luncheons,
Yeah, virtually.
Yeah, virtually.
Yeah.
Well,
and a big
great.
Shout out to CTV5.
Absolutely.
Honestly, as being our local access television station, and to Gordon for helping us put it all together.
And Gordon and I go way back, because we're connected at Clackamas Community College. So,
yeah, that's
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know and don't know about SBDC and don't know about you, can you take a minute and just kind of introduce yourself and let us know what's what?
Yeah, let me give you an overview. We have, when I first got this job, I was actually hired at the college to teach our entrepreneurship. I went through, I met a guy named Thomas Jones, and he was a vet. I'm a vet. I was in the first and seventh cav, and he was like in the second, eighth cav, and so we had some rapport. And he talked me into taking one of his classes, and I took it. And then I took another class on entrepreneurship, and then I had a chance. The guy that had the job before I have it decided to leave, and he was teaching our greenhouse class, which is like a 16 hours, 3 hours a week, very intensive, and it really teaches you how to run a business. A lot of people have expertise, but they don't know much about business. And so Thomas Jones created this small business management model. He spent 25 years, got his PhD, worked with over 2,000 businesses, had about 600 startups, very few involuntary failures. And so I found out by taking that class that he was the real deal. So my predecessor decided to leave, and I asked him one time, I was in the office, I was volunteering, and I said, who's going to teach your greenhouse class? And he says, I think you should. So I was hired to actually teach that class, and then fortunately for me, about 6 months later, I got this job. So,
yeah.
And what I found is like the SBDC network is like one of the best kept secrets. We say that. I've been in Portland since 1983. I've worked with a lot of small businesses over my time. I come from small business, family businesses, but I'd never heard of an SBDC network, and I found out a lot of people haven't. So
not until I took the chamber job did it really blip up on my radar.
Yeah, and there's 63 SBDC networks in the United States and territories. It was put into effect in the early 80s by Congress when large businesses were actually migrating and chasing markets overseas and looking for cheap labor, and that left all the small business community. There was about 28 million small businesses, and that was going to be the growth engine for the United States because we couldn't do all that stuff back then.
Right.
And so Congress allocated a funding mechanism and created the SBDC network through the Small Business Administration, SBA. And small, by SBA's definition, is any company that has less than 500 employees.
Right.
Well, we have about
fairly large.
Yeah. Well, we have about 15,000 businesses in Clackamas County. Half of them have less than 5 employees. Two-thirds have less than 10.
Yeah.
So I think we only have a handful that are more than 500. But
right.
So anyway, there's 19 SBDCs in the state of Oregon. 17 of us are affiliated with community colleges. There's 3 in the Portland area. There's PCC, Portland Community College, Mount Hood, and Clackamas.
Right. And you each kind of have a specialty.
We do
right?
have
like little niches that you refer amongst each other. Correct?
Yes, no, that's exactly right. We're very fortunate at Clackamas Community College where we have a division called Connections with Business and Industry. We call it CBI. And there's three departments in that. There's SBDC, obviously, workforce development, the department, and customized training. And we are the, quote, face of Clackamas Community College to those 15,000 businesses in the county. And our area is really focused on the smaller companies. I do have some companies that have, well, I think my largest has 52 employees in it.
Okay.
We serve about 1,200 clients a year. Half want to start a business, half have an existing business. We do about 65 to 70 what we call training events, which are classes, workshops, and events. And people take our courses and they get some content. You know, a lot of times people don't know what they don't know. And so you take a class or a workshop or attend an event. And then our value proposition is, because of our funding partners, we're funded by Small Business Administration, SBA, and people confuse SBDC and SBA all the time.
Yeah.
Business Oregon,
Okay.
Clackamas Community College, and then I have a veterans grant from Clackamas County to support my veterans program. So we focus in our area, joy and wealth, 5 areas. Veterans, we take really good care of our vets. We are the leading veterans center out of the 19 SBDCs in the state.
Nice.
Contractors, got a lot of depth in contractor experience, and we have guided pathway is kind of a thing. If you're around higher education, guided pathways is kind of the strategy to help people,
Right.
Retain, to help actually students, 4-credit students, get on a path that is very more efficient for them, helps them stay in college, and helps them get out of school, whether it's just for a certificate or go with a 4-year.
Right. Well, not only to get out of school, but to get out of school what they need to get out of school, right? To pull
Exactly.
those workable skills
Yeah.
with them once they go out the back end.
Very much so, and in a very efficient manner.
Right.
And so, veterans, contractors, entrepreneurship, innovation, and small farm succession planning.
Yeah.
We have about 3,000 small farmer raiser growers in this county. 2,000 of them are 60 years old and older.
Yeah.
And so we have a program to help them. And we've been doing distance delivery at our SBDC for about 4 or 5 years.
Right.
So we actually have farm families from all over the state that take that class.
Yeah. So geography, right? And
Doesn't matter.
You guys were doing this even before stay-at-home made it necessary. Like,
Yeah.
you're ready to deploy.
Yeah. In fact, when you say deploy, we started experimenting with distance delivery when I was teaching that greenhouse class at Entrepreneur, when I had veterans that would come to me and he said, I can't finish the class. I'm getting deployed to Iraq or Afghanistan, or I'm going on training. So we started exploring distance delivery back then. Tried everything. Started out cheap, Google Hangouts. Didn't
Right.
work very well, but
Yeah.
it's much better now. Yeah, GoToMeeting, Skype. Now we're on the Zoom platform. In fact, our entire college has switched over per the governor's stay-at-home order.
Right.
And it was very easy for us to move onto distance delivery because we had about 90% of our entire program set up that way.
Yeah.
So you take a class or a workshop or go an event, and then we provide at no cost one-on-one business advising that takes content and puts it into context for that business wherever they are. And that is something that I think we're the only business education provider in the state of Oregon that does that.
Could you give me an example of kind of like something that you would take content and put it into context?
Yeah.
It's hard to wrap my head around a little bit.
Yeah, I say that to people, and they give me this look, Well, what I found is that, and I think we found this particularly in the last, I'd say 6, 7 years, there is a plethora of content that's available to people.
Right.
I had a guy the other day, he says, I was working on my transmission. And I said, well, how did you know how to work on your transmission? He says, well, I went to a YouTube channel,
Right.
And so there a plethora of resources. I've actually taken classes at 4-year institutions for non-credit. You can take them at Stanford, you can take them at Wharton,
Right.
MIT. So there's a lot of content out there. Business is easy if you know what to do and how to do it. And so getting content says, okay, now, all right, now I don't know what I don't know, but now I know what I don't know, and I get some content. But what does that mean? How do you take that and put it into whether you're just starting a business, maybe pre-venture, maybe you just started and launched, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hits,
Right.
or maybe you've been in business and lost 40-50% of your revenues.
Right.
So you need some content, and then taking that and put it into context is very specific. It's being like having a doctor's appointment. He says, okay, you need your gizzard worked on, and this is what we're going to do. Here's your gizzard, and here's what's wrong with it.
Right.
Now, this is your specific issue. How are we going to deal with that?
Yeah, no, that's good. Because I think a lot of people, knowing my membership as I do, asking for help, asking for resources, actually kind of breaking that and not being the bootstrapper
Yes.
is difficult.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people self-serve a lot of information. They go out and they find it themselves, which is great.
Yep.
The initiative is great, but that contextualizing of content and that specific kind of pointed, I think that's the missing piece sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And like I said, nobody else is doing it. Like SCORE is funded by SBA, and that's their staff, mostly volunteers, of retired executives in corporations. Well, it's great. It's a wonderful service, but those people typically have never run a small business.
Right.
They've always worked for big business. When I went to college, everything I learned in college was what I needed to learn to go to work for somebody else. It wasn't really to run my own personal enterprise.
Right.
And context is very important. And I think we have in our network, we've got 19 SBDCs, but we're like in 43 different locations around the state. We've got about 140 people in that network. And we have our focus areas, but we also have staff support from actually departments that are support to the individual centers. So like cybersecurity, global trade, capital access, which is a very big thing right now.
Right.
In fact, we'll take a look at some information that's available to us. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, it's and we were at about 90% of capacity before the pandemic hit, and so we had to figure out some very creative ways to respond because it's all about response. It's all about cash flow. Okay, now how do you get access to loans and grants and resources available to you? And we can talk about some of that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I was just going to say, let's get down to brass tacks, and what can the Small Business Development Center do for our small businesses at this time, and what we do say are the core strengths of the program. And so I think some of this capital access, we transition right into it.
Yeah, it's really big. I mean,
so you provided some resources.
Yeah, if we could go to our statewide network web center, it's called bizcenter.org.
That's the SBA.
That's it, SBDC. And if you click on the top page, we have a COVID-19 business resource page. And what we found early on when, well, first of all, we've got to put stuff into context.
Yeah.
This program that Congress has put out, I hope everybody realizes that this is a tremendous benefit to all of us in the business and even the employee. I mean, I don't know whether you got your stimulus check, but mine showed up in my account just automatically. This is all about cash flow. Right. And I think, this personal opinion, when the government was shut down previously, you had all these government employees, and it was very quickly they recognized people didn't even have $400 for an emergency response. They were like 3 paychecks away from complete disaster.
Right.
So this particular program that's the 2.2 trillion, and now it's gone up, is really a way to provide cash to people in a way that you either get some benefit either through the SBA, through the Economic Industry Disaster Loan, that goes straight to SBA, or the Paycheck Protection Program, which goes through the banks. And
right.
I think everybody's pretty aware of that. So
my members should be very well aware of that. Yes. Yeah.
And so, so when we put up the resources, we put up SBA, obviously, because that's the lending programs. But we also have information on there from Business Oregon. They have a call center set up. They have a navigation site that has got some resources on there. So you've got federal response, you've got state response, and then, of course, there's information on unemployment. And this is the first time I have ever seen where self-employed, sole proprietors, independent contractors have access, not only access to the federal loan programs, but they have access to the unemployment program. So
Right.
now I know people are frustrated because they've applied, they're getting information, but I mean, you go from, just take the employment situation here, 75 years lowest unemployment in the state, and then within 3 weeks,
Right.
you go to nothing.
Right.
So
Record numbers of new applications.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the staffing problem and the processing problem and the,
Yeah.
the technology problem,
Yeah.
the infrastructure
Yeah,
problem
I mean,
of it all.
their whole system was like
et cetera,
a
et cetera.
COBOL system.
Right.
And the governor said, well, we're going to waive the first week, but the system wasn't programmed. But I think people have to cut these institutions some slack.
Right.
I mean, we all have frustrations with institutions, but
Absolutely.
But you can't go from 0 to 500 miles per hour, just overnight. But
Right.
but I think it's getting better. I mean, they've opened up. We had some big issue, and a big issue that I have, particularly with the chamber people that I've talked to, is that sole proprietors, independent contractors, and those people could not apply for the PPPL program until like the 10th of April.
Yeah.
And then they ran out of money on the 16th.
Right.
They didn't even have.
I think it was the 12th even. It
Yeah.
was like a 4-day window.
Just
yeah.
boom. But now they've opened up another $310 billion, and
Right.
I'm in daily contact with our clients.
Yep.
And
anecdotally, that money is hitting.
It is
I'm
hitting.
hitting more and hearing from more and more businesses who are saying that they're receiving the funding.
Absolutely. And about the EIDL loans, that people applied for, just so people know, if you applied early and your number that you have received from SBA is not, the first digit of the number is not a 3. If it's a 2, you need to reapply.
Oh, that's great information.
Here's some other information for you. There is a loan forgiveness piece of this, and there was a lot of misinformation that was circulated, and that's I need to really stress this point. How do you keep 140 people on the same page to make sure that they're disseminating relevant, accurate, and timely information?
Right.
That's been our challenge as
Yeah.
a network. So this capital access team that I've talked about, actually, if you could pull up the bizcentercat.org, there you go. This team actually vets information that comes to us, and to make sure that it's accurate and reliable. We use that. We have a network intranet site that we
Amongst
have
yourselves
both-
as opposed to outward facing.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So, because we got to keep everybody, make sure that they're giving our clients, and potential clients, the right information.
Right.
So they actually vet this, and they update this, our BizCenter site, daily, sometimes multiple times daily as it changes. So like this change about the EIDL loans.
Right.
They're not accepting applications, but they are accepting applications for agriculture.
Interesting.
Yeah, so you can still do that. If you've already applied, here's some recent numbers that I just got. The loan forgiveness amount checks, it's like $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000. Those have been sent out to your bank account with no communication.
Yes,
At
that's
about the tune
what I'm
of
hearing.
About 12%, and less 4 to 5% of the loans have actually been processed. So, they're just trying to catch up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's Herculean, the effort.
Yeah. I can't imagine being in charge of all that
Yeah.
and then figuring out how to do it. I
Right.
mean, I've been on multiple calls with Marty Golden and Jeremy Fields, who's our District 10 lead, and it's challenging.
Well, and for me, there's a true two-pronged thing to that. You want to deploy quickly. You want to provide relief as quickly as possible. That's what the money's intended for. You
Yep.
want to use it for its intended purpose. You want to do so as rapidly as humanly possible. And then there's the back end question, right? Like we
Yeah.
also want to use it responsibly and not get have an audit or have a look backwards at how the program was managed and ran and discover
Yeah.
that something was problematic.
Well-
so you're trying to balance the two priorities.
Absolutely right, Kyle. And it's really easy for humans to second guess. And,
Right.
getting back to your comments about, I think we have to cut people some slack. The nice thing about this particular response is it's all about cash flow.
Right.
That's all it is. It's
Yep.
to get people enough money. I mean, getting people this unemployment where their normal unemployment's another $600 on top of that. That goes through July 31st.
Right.
And so hopefully our little experiment with this opening in other states, we're going to learn a lot from that, and then we can do our progressive opening here and
Yeah.
get back to some kind of a normalcy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which we do see movement. We do see encouraging
Ah.
signs coming down the horizon. So in addition to is there anything on this capital access?
Well, I just want to make sure that
Page
people
that-
have the links.
Right.
Because when people need some help, like I said, we're about 90% capacity because we have our kind of premier program that we have is called Small Business Management.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 9-month program. They meet once a month for like 3 or 4 hours. They get 2 hours of one-on-one business advising as part of that, content, context.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 4 of those going. I've got one in that entrepreneurship class. I have one in a small farm and ranch.
Right.
I teach an advanced small business management class. And then we have a contractor class. And that contractor class has 51 companies in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great reach.
Yeah.
I mean, for Clackamas County, and
Yeah.
that's a lot of folks, according to the numbers.
If we could go back to the Biz Center, I think
Yeah.
one of the things that you'd ask me is how can people
That's
get a hold of us and
Yes.
get some help? So number one, go to the websites and get some content.
Right.
Go to the SBA website, sba.gov. All those programs are updated.
Which we have their main page up here. So this is the SBA,
SBA, yep, there you go.
and then if we go,
SBDC.
this is what the SBDC website will look upon.
Now, if you'll scroll
Right.
down, you'll see these 19 centers that I talked about. It says find your center. It's
Oh.
on up there. There you go. Find your center.
Right here.
That's
Blue.
it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And then you want to go down to Clackamas. There we are. That's it. And well, that picture is a little old. Kind of like Dear Abby. I think she's had the
This one
same
right here.
picture.
Yeah,
for 20
right.
years.
Right.
So see the Connect with Us
Yep.
over there? We have our classes on here. We have links. People can actually, we're doing all distance delivery. Our campus, well, all the colleges are closed through the spring term and through the summer.
Right.
And then
For
the
fall.
Connect with Us, there's the information. You just
Mm-hmm.
fill out your name, your email, and your phone number. And that actually goes to our center. Our first response will be Kathy Nishimoto, and she takes all the phone calls and the emails, and we get back with people and direct them the resources. And let's say they've got their PPPL funds. They're getting ready to enter the recovery phase now. We can schedule a one-on-one Zoom appointment with those people or a telephone call. Say, okay, let us help you. And
Right.
There's no cost to that.
Really?
No cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Taxpayer money. I mean,
Yeah.
because we're funded by SBA.
Right. We pay just in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's great. In terms of right now, because that's a lot of what I'm discovering with members is they may have a grip on maybe 2/3 of the information or the requirements of the program, be it the PPP, the EIDL, they have a grip on about 2/3, but then there's usually kind of an industry specific or a portion of the requirements that they're like, well, this isn't kind of a one side, this isn't an easy question.
Yeah,
Basically, how do I comply?
exactly.
And so that's good to know that they can reach out through this service.
Yeah, and they can. And then we post updated information. In fact, I really liked your case study of how to use your PPPL money. Because there's always questions. When you do a program like this, people automatically start asking questions. Well, how does this work? How does this work?
Right.
How do I stay in compliance?
Right.
How do I optimize the loan forgiveness piece? Because I've only got 8 weeks, and
Right.
What counts and what doesn't count.
Right.
Actually, and we're putting up instructions on that Biz Center website. In fact, if like one of the things that you can find there is like how to navigate a business crisis.
Oh, cash management, pricing and cost containment, supply chain management, and marketing.
Yeah, and it's a checklist. So can't think of everything, right? But having a checklist on hand, you say, okay, well, have I done this? Have I done this? Have I done this? And then we kind of follow a medical model on advising, Kyle. And what I mean by that, we do an assessment first, and we've got some world-class tools to do that. It's called Growth Wheel. I'll have to show you an example of it, but the client themselves actually says, all right, I know this, but I don't know this. Okay, what do I need to know? So you do an assessment first, you talk through what the diagnosis would be, and then you do a prescription.
Right. Triaging kind of.
Exactly. Our goal is to get to that vision of creating joy and wealth. We always start with the money.
Right.
People are always joyful if they got
Right.
if their bank account's got some money in it.
If they're not anxious about paying the power bill.
Yeah. So we teach them money. We teach them how to make money, how to manage money, how to keep their money.
Yeah.
That's my elevator speech.
That's your elevator speech. Well, I'm in. That sounds ideal. Right? Awesome. So some great resources online and whatnot. Capital investment. We did talk about how does one begin working with the Small Business Development Center. We went to the Clackamas SBDC, just to kind of review. Went to the Clackamas, the SBD site, find your center, find Clackamas SBDC, connect with us.
That's it.
That's the progression.
You're right.
And then you fill out that form. Nancy?
Kathy.
Kathy will do the intake and prioritize, connect you with the proper resource within your organization, and then you guys will respond.
Go for there.
Based on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got her.
Great. We talked a little bit about self-serve resources that you would recommend. Did we miss any? Do we need to kind of circle back in terms of how they can self-serve?
Well, I do think, well, let me put a plug in for Chambers of Commerce.
Sure. Always willing.
We've got 5 chambers in the county, you know that. We have a couple of business alliances, and we have economic development agencies. We have local jurisdictions, we have the county. We work with all of that group. I mean, we're all in it together to support our business community in this county.
Right.
And I always encourage people to go back. If you're not a member, you should be a member. I mean, I'm
Preach, brother.
Kyle,
Preach.
I'm fortunate. I am paid not to have a political opinion.
Right.
So, but I have a lot of clients that have some definite political opinions, and I think the chambers are a great advocacy to protect and to help people make sure that their interests are represented, I would say.
Right.
So
We do have that leeway to be able to advocate and have a political opinion. We have our government affairs committee
Yes.
that vets issues, vets legislation, advocates up,
Yep.
and so we do try and exercise that voice as much as possible.
Well, and you do a great job. And I was looking at all your materials, all your social media, your website. You've got a COVID-19 site. The other thing is that I always encourage people check with associations, trade associations. But for example, who got hit the hardest on the pandemic? Food service,
Right.
events.
Independent contractors, personal services, events.
Yeah. And I know the National Restaurant Association is really active as far as legislative initiatives. And I have to give a lot of credit to our legislative bodies, whether they're state or federal, in this county. I've had the opportunity to work in all three counties, Washington, Multnomah, and Clackamas, and you know, you hear this Kevin Bacon thing about 6 degrees.
Yeah.
Hell, it's 2 or 3 here in Clackamas County, and
Right.
so, and I think we have the most collaborative county to help support, you know, not only the citizens but our business community.
You know, I think that it is kind of in our DNA as a rural county.
Yep.
You know, we're lumped in as kind of an urban, one of the three within the urban area, but so much of our county remains rural, remains agricultural, remains small town, and I think that is much in our ethos.
Yeah.
In our ethics and our way of operating, so I can see that.
Yeah, no, it's very refreshing. I was on the Clackamas County Economic Development Commission for like 6 years, and so I had a chance to work with past commissioners, existing commissioners, and I just find it very refreshing. I mean, people want to do the right thing. They want to support, and they've got a lot of a very diverse constituency. You know, it's not just the business community. It's the homelessness. It's health and welfare and transportation and you know all of this. And I think we are very fortunate to be here in this county.
Yeah.
And when I look at our college compared to, you know, we have a weekly director's call of all the 19 directors around the state, and I hear what they're going through. And I am very fortunate to be affiliated with Clackamas Community College.
Yeah, I mean, I taught there for about 4 years. I loved my time there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
as an adjunct English teacher, so
Yeah.
it's a quality organization.
Very quality. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. I think our last question was that I sent to you was, I think we'd be negligent in our duties if we didn't address the issue of reopening. What would you say to our membership on this issue? And do you have any new updates or information that will help local businesses frame their thoughts on the way forward?
Yeah, I do. You know, the first phase of anything that goes on, you know, humans kind of go through this, I call it the SARA approach, and that's an acronym. You know, you get surprise, shock, you know, you get anger, maybe, disappointment, stress, you know, anxiety, you know, put the A on that one. And then pretty soon, you know, you have to face the reality. You know, you kind of get the resolve, and then the next is just to move on. And so I think we're entering now. So first thing is response and cash flow.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of business you have. If you manage your business around two things, you'll be successful. And those two things are, you have to have gross margins. The difference between what you sell it for and what you buy it for, you know, cost of goods.
Right.
Margins pay for everything.
Right.
And you have to have cash flow. And so all the responses that we're seeing from the federal and the state and local and grants and stuff like that and unemployment is to get us cash.
Right.
Individual and for business. Right. So we're going to do that.
Keep the money moving.
Keep the money moving. Make sure people can pay their bills. So, and the next thing is recovery. And recovery, I like to look at it this way. There's like 3 phases of recovery, and people go through the first phase really quickly when you wake up one morning and you've lost half your business or you've lost all your business.
Yeah,
I mean,
overnight.
Yeah. So you have to, as an individual and for your family, you got to say, all right, what's my budget? You know, where's my money? Where's it going? What can I cut? So elimination is first phase. It's elimination personally, and it's elimination on your business. So first phase. And I'll give you an example. A lot of times that you'll see people say, well, now I have this money and I'm going to invest it in this. That's called a finance issue. Finance is, where do I get the money? How do I allocate that money to get the best return? And that's probably where people at the SBDC can help you. Because a lot of times people say, well, I need to go do this. Well, do you really need to do it?
Right.
I mean, you know. So renew, revive, restore. That's the next step. And then next thing is what you're going to add. And we've seen some very creative stuff. You know, people take out, you know, the Amazon thing, you know, they were doing like 43 cents out of every dollar on retail, and now they're down to like 32 cents, you know, because Walmart got into it, and Target got into it, and local now got into it, and so
Right.
we've adapted.
Right.
So sadly, there's some businesses that had a flawed business model before the pandemic.
Right.
If you weren't doing well before the pandemic,
This
in
just
the best
exacerbates.
market, plenty of money, very low cost, low unemployment. Most of the complaints were, I can't find qualified employees. Now,
Workforce.
now you got all you want, you know.
Right.
So I mean, just like
Start
that.
interviewing.
Yeah.
Right.
So I do think looking at your business model should be your first step. And that business model is actually created by your marketing mix. And you look at a lot of stuff, once you go through the elimination phase, a lot of the stuff that used to work, that got you to where you are in your business, you might need to dust that off and take a look at it again.
Right.
And if it works, you know, the goal, you know, they say fail fast. I hate that. In fact, when I hear this in business and all these people that write the books about it, there's no such thing as failure until you quit.
Right.
What you are is testing what works and what doesn't work.
Right.
If it works, do more of it. If it doesn't work, do less of it. It's that simple.
Right.
But you need to do that very quickly, particularly when you're stressed with lack of revenues and stuff.
Right. And make those decisions quickly.
Make
Be
the
able to
decision.
identify what's not working quickly in order to leave it behind and do less of
You
it.
hit it right on the head. Right. And so once you look at your business model and say, all right, and the business model is, all right, here's my ideal clients. These are the ones that love me. This is what the value that I bring to them. And then here's my ideal circumstance in my business, my ideal employees, my ideal workday life. How does this take a look? And then it's all about communication. All your vendors, your banker, anybody that you owe, it's all, you need to communicate to different stakeholders in your business model.
Right.
And just had one of my clients, he was small company, had 4 people, and this thing hit, business just dried up completely.
Yep.
In-house type service type thing. Had to lay his people off. I talked to him about actually switched banks because when he was at, he couldn't get response. So
Yep.
here's another tip.
Quit barking up that tree that's not.
Quit barking.
you know,
Yeah,
like-
stop, right? It's
Right.
not working.
Yep.
That's what else we're going to do.
Right.
In fact,
Not working, do less of it.
here's a tip. Here's a tip that a lot of people don't know, is that this is the first time I've ever seen SBA open the door to fintechs. And fintechs are like PayPal,
Oh, Cabbage.
Square,
Yeah.
Intuit.
Yep.
They are now, I have 2 clients that just within the last 10 days got their PPPL funding through PayPal.
I anecdotally, I heard of one yesterday that got it through cabbage.com, cabbage with a K.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas before, no way.
No way.
Yeah.
If you weren't an SBA lender, and
Right.
now the nice thing about this last round of federal funding, there's about $310 billion, and they carved out a large percentage of that for the smaller banks and credit unions,
Right.
CDFIs, and which is really good. I mean, a lot of people that could not participate now can, and
Right.
so I'm pretty sure the people that have already have been applied and actually got an approval number from their bank or from other, they're going to get funded in this round.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Thank God.
thank goodness.
Right.
Cash flow.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else in terms of recovery phasing?
Elimination's number 1.
Yep.
In fact, do you have that Hustle?
Yeah,
article?
yeah.
Yeah, let's take a
Absolutely.
look at that. Now, this is what I'd say common sense. You know, I guess there's, Kyle, there's some advantage of having this much gray.
Catching up. I'm catching up. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been through 9/11. We've been through 2008. And I just started my career in the early 80s where interest rates were 18% and unemployment was double digits. I had 23 accounts. 21 of them went broke. And they'd all been in business over 20 years.
Yeah.
So that's the difference between a depression and what we're going through now. I mean, this is tough. I'm not trying to minimalize
Right.
this, but I mean, I think you have to put it in perspective. The cash is coming in, you know, and it's going to be available. And I think the businesses, once we get over, well, probably a vaccine or antibody testing and stuff like that
Yeah.
to get us back. Having said that, I think people should be very confident that there is a plethora of resources available to them, and there was a study done, and if you go down, there's a graph that I think is there we go, whoa, right there. Offensive versus defensive tactics through a recession. Now, I say recession because this is unprecedented, but some of the most successful companies were started and built in the worst times that we've ever had. I saw it in the 80s, I've seen it in the 90s, and I saw it in 2008. And the ones that did, they took at their business model and said, all right, I'm going to run some scenarios. Let's say this gets over in 90 days. Let's say it doesn't get over for another year. Let's say, okay, is this still going to work? I mean, you have to look at this very practically. So you have to develop a what I call a blueprint, but it's often referred in the business as a roadmap.
Yeah.
And that roadmap, you're making it up, but what you want to do, stop doing what you don't need to do.
Right.
What works, put some more resources to it.
Yep.
And the next part is creativity. How can I add or how can I change, whether it's a business process, whether it's a new product or service, partnerships, very effective. Yeah,
Right.
Strategic partnerships are like one. And if you want to talk about advantage right now, there's about 30 million small businesses in this country.
Mm-hmm.
2/3 of them are 60 years old and older.
Oof.
Yeah, but like I have a client that's actually buying other companies to get distribution, and he's buying them, and the people that he's buying them from are getting exactly what they want. Their business was their 401k.
Right.
They want an annuity.
Mm-hmm.
He's providing that annuity. He buys their company. He hires their employees. He gets their equipment. He has a system in place to get them under doing his way,
Right.
So he consolidates all the administrative costly stuff.
Yep.
So he saves money that way. And then he gets distribution and get volume. So it's very creative. So there's a lot of opportunity that's going to come out of this. That's what I think people need to hear, and they need to focus on that opportunity. And that promotion focus is having a forward face to the marketplace, the forward face to it.
Mm.
And you talked about it. What are my end use customers? How are they going to change? What do they need? How can I adapt to their needs?
Yeah.
How
do we telegraph to them?
Yeah.
That we're safe, that we're open, that we're desirable in terms of what it is that we offer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I love your focus there, the 4 things about visibility.
Yeah.
It's like having a restaurant, and then you go into a brand new restaurant and you stop in and you go to the bathroom.
Right.
And if it's not clean, you think, well, what's the kitchen look like?
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing. I mean, it's the experience.
Yeah.
It's that perception.
I mean, the tools of good big business practice are still the tools of good business practice. The conditions in which we are operating have changed a little bit, but it really is like a call back to basics.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
that's why I want to start with the business model first, because that's the connection between vendors, supply chains, your employees, your culture, your customers, your partners, like the chambers of commerce, like your bank, or it's all of those people that are involved in your relationships with your business and how you deliver value to your customer base.
Right.
That's the key. And if you look at there, cutting the fat, operating lean, that's elimination. Flexibility and pivoting. You have some upcoming podcasts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're looking at putting together a show called Pivoting During Pandemic, where we look at different industries and how they're pivoting and what they're finding success and or leaving behind.
Yes.
Right. We won't call it failure. We'll call it leaving behind.
There you go.
Right.
It's all about testing what works and what doesn't work, and the faster you can do it.
Right.
Now, you talked about strategic partnerships. I talked about expansion, like buying competitors, because, this is all, it's all very commonsensical, but it's a great framework
Yeah.
to think about what you need to think about to make an informed business decision.
One discussion that we had in the Canby Downtown Association meeting was about no matter what state your business is in, whether you can operate or not, was continuing to post about your business, continuing to show people what you're doing at home, show people how you're filling your time. Put out you still have content. Show them what you're doing in your business. Maybe you're deep cleaning because you have nothing else to do. There's no show them that content because that customer loyalty piece, it just keeps you in their consciousness, keeps you in their mind. And I mean, again, so many of these are, kind of back to basics.
Well, but it's nice to have a framework to think about it.
Sure.
Because you know what, we don't tell people what to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not our place. I mean, but it is our place to take content, put it into context.
Right.
To have that framework. But the whole thing is to get, success is a result of good judgment.
Yeah.
Good decision making. Good decision making is usually the result of experience, and experience is a result of bad judgment.
Right.
That's how we learn, right?
Right.
I mean, we don't
Make mistakes.
We should learn. Yeah. Fortunately, you don't have to go through it yourself. A lot of other people have made the mistakes.
Right.
And so to have a framework to think about what you need to think about to make an informed decision to move forward, that's the value proposition the SBDC brings to the market.
That's awesome. And I just looked at my watch, and we are actually right up at the 1 o'clock hour. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Obviously, it's impossible to cover everything that Rob and his team does and what the chamber can do for you. So if you have any follow-up questions, do you want to drop your contact information, or should they just go through the website?
They should go to Biz Center, go to the center, hit the contact information, and we'll.
Perfect. So that's the best way to connect up with the SBDC. Kyle at CambyAreaChamber.org, as always, is the best way to get a hold of me. Thank you very much for your time, Canby and chamber members, and we will see you soon.